Identity is a tough one because before my accidents, I knew exactly who I was. I was 6'1", about 185 pounds, 185. Rode a motorcycle. It was a outfitted motorcycle that I had rigged myself. Took it from a cruiser down to a Sportster. You know, that real rock and roll complex. I had a leather motorcycle jacket and I wore shit-kicking boots. I drank. I smoked. I spoke my mind. A real badass, if you will. I lived on my own. I did what I wanted. I was adult in every way people recognize adulthood. And then I became a roller. Still an adult, but the rules have changed. I can't just go out anymore. I have to think about balance, about my bladder, about what I'm wearing, and what happens if I get wet. I gotta think about parking. I gotta think about access. I think about even if I get in the place, does it have curb cuts? Does it have stairs? Does it have tiny doors? Is it going to be big enough for my wheelchair to go through the door? My life runs on calculations now. One thing I didn't expect was losing the ability to defend myself. Before the chair, I was a second-degree black belt. I was strong. I was reckless. And honestly, I didn't always think before I spoke. 2 weeks into my wheelchair taught me something fast. There was some guy, he smarted off to my sister-in-law. And I did what I always done. I called him out. I said, "Hey, buddy, not cool indeed." He's a big guy. He just looked at me. He was probably 6'2", maybe 220. Big guy. He just looked at me and he lifted his leg and then he kicked me in the chest as hard as he could. He knocked me backwards out of my wheelchair. I landed upside down, stuck. Then he kept kicking me when I was on the ground. Luckily, it was my brother's house. My brother had to come out and fight him off. And then my brother and his roommate had to unbuckle me, lift up the wheelchair, and then figure out how to lift me up. I remember thinking I felt like a sack of potatoes. That was the moment that I knew. I knew I wasn't that old guy anymore. The motorcycle guy. The reckless guy. The guy who couldn't speak his mind. And the guy who could speak his mind and back it up. That guy was gone. And I was someone new, whether I was ready or not. From that moment on, I had to be careful with my words. Not because I was weaker inside, but because the world now had leverage over my body. It's almost like living in a video game. Everyone else is playing one game, and I'm playing another. Different rules, different controls, and different penalties. Different penalties. And nobody really wants to play in mine. So I stopped trying to win in theirs. I've been angry at myself in ways I didn't know how to explain. Angry that my body betrayed me. Angry that being open sometimes made things worse. Trying to be happy. Trying to show good faith. That got me hurt. So I stopped looking for validation outside myself. I started working on my own life, building my own world. And somewhere in that process, I started finding a better Justin. Not the old one, but a truer one. Losing yourself, losing your old identity doesn't mean you failed. It means you survived something that required change. And that change isn't weakness. It's not. If you're disabled and struggling with who you are, you're not broken. You're just becoming someone who knows the rules and is still standing anyway, or sitting, whatever the case might be.